Oh, the best!
He was my lawyer when his wife came up with the 10th grade. And to be with Ray Didinger, you know, Ray was an advocate for Tommy to get in the Hall of Fame. He was also an advocate for Dick Vermeil to get in the Hall of Fame. And when you have the Ray Didinger, it makes a difference. So this is a great opportunity to come up and just show my respect for Ray and the people in the play and the director here. Carol and I saw this once before and we loved it. I think I liked it more tonight. I think I felt the passion a little deeper. I really did. It touched me. Practice session in Hershey. And you remember there were a lot of football things that went on in Hershey in the early years of the mid-70s and even earlier. So it's really a pleasure to be here and help Ray with this and entertain me. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm sure all of you people have as well.
I just got to steal a line from young Tommy. This is the coolest thing ever. I got to tell you. I am sitting here with people I idolize. Coach, let me ask you one quick question. So you just went into the Hall of Fame. How does that feel? What does that mean to you?
Well, it's unbelievable. It really is. I've never anticipated it. And it's hard for me to express how I really appreciate how the people helped me get there.
Love you, Coach.
But listen, specifically my players, as I said in my speech, people always gave me credit for motivating them and inspiring them and impacting them. I always looked at it as the other way. That these guys inspired me, motivated me, it impacted me. And I mean that sincerely. And I've got so many very, very close friends that were former players. At our party, Ray was there, when peak time, my wife, we were all at the party. There were kids there I cut after their first year in Philadelphia. I'm serious, but we were able to stay in touch because they went into high school coaching or something like that. And I've been able to help them with jobs somewhere else. They were great kids, but just not quite good enough for the NFL. And when you're around kids like that, pretty quick you have more and more of those kids that are good enough to be in the NFL. And all of a sudden good enough to win a playoff game. All of a sudden good enough to go to a Super Bowl. So it's a one continuous impact on my life as a coach. And so going into the Hall of Fame, I don't, like I said, the only thing I can imagine is getting married, having 3 kids, now 11 grandkids and 2 great-grandchildren.
We're going to open it up to questions in the audience too, ladies and gentlemen. But Ray, can you tell us what it's like, given that this whole thing began in Hershey in 1957 for you? Literally, as you told me before, steps from where we're sitting, right over here outside this door. What does it mean to you to have this come here now in Hershey?
Yeah, this really is a dream come true for me. The play has been really from the beginning a dream come true for me because it's such a big part of my life. The fact that I've gone on and done what I've done in my life, basically spent my whole life in football, it started here. It really started here. I mean, the first time I met Tommy McDonald in 1957 and he handed me his helmet. And we took that walk, it was life-changing. And all these years later, I felt like I just have to tell this story. It's just such a beautiful, sweet, feel-good story that it was something I wanted to share. And the fact that we've been able to do it, and they'll do it over this period of time, and now especially to do it here, really means the world to me. So thank you all for being here.
Down at the end here we have Tom Tatey. Kristen Dean Caterino. Matt Butler. And Frank Kennedy Jr.
Okay, do we have some questions? Ray might be the first 10-year-old to come to Hershey and say, I'd rather watch guys sweat in the dust of a football than go to Hershey Park. Questions? Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, Ray, thanks for sharing that story. It was superbly moving. Coach, thank you for everything. For Ray, in specific, thank you for that beatdown that you put on those two Boston Germans.
The beatdown on the two Boston Germans. The scene was the Super Bowl, I believe, right? Prince talking about it?
Yeah. You all know what it's like anyhow.
Right.
Super Bowl pregame show. I was on with a writer named, not a writer, but a radio shock jock from Boston named Mike Felger. And he just started in, Philadelphia fans, snowballs at Santa Claus, worst fans, the whole, you've heard it a million times. And I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I went back at him and I basically said Philadelphia fans aren't the worst, they are the best. Woo!
Right.
And I also said, and this was, my testosterone getting the better of me, but I said, the Philadelphia fans have been waiting forever for their team to win a Super Bowl, but that wait will end tonight. Thank goodness the Eagles went out.
I have a question for Coach here, Dennis. The play is about heroes and about somebody that meant a lot to you, and I know there's a lot of people that probably meant a lot to you in your career, but like growing up, was there someone that you looked up to as a hero growing up in California?
Well, yeah, first my dad. He's a common everyday working man on the old garage about 2 first downs behind the house. And got up every morning, went to work, came in and ate lunch, went back out, went to work until dinner time, came in, ate dinner, went back out, went to work. I saw that his whole lifetime. And it taught me that hard work's not a form of punishment. It's a solution to most of your problems. It's the way you raise your family. It's concepts you can pass on to your kids that they can evaluate. There's nothing greater than a great example. You can forget advice, you can forget opinions, but you don't forget great examples. And I always try to surround myself in my locker room and on my coaching staff with people that were great examples, because it becomes infectious. And all of a sudden, your team is a lot deeper than just jersey numbers. And the guy you portrayed, I knew him, he was a piece of work. He used to come to practice, and he thought he could play. He thought he could still play. He'd come to practice like Ben Eric would bend in and snap the ball blind like he was 20 years old. He was 65 years old. Tommy would come out, he'd want to run pass routes. It's just those kind of people infect other people. And sometimes when it's all said and done, real good things happen. And that's what Ray created for Tommy. It happened, he belonged there. It just took him a long time to get there.
You were notorious for hard practices. What do you make of Nick Sirianni and his lusty practice that he had the other day?
I'm always willing to learn. Every year I coach, I learn something, maybe a way to do it better. I don't, because I don't believe in that theory. Doesn't make me right and wrong, but I've never seen the correlation between working less and getting better. I've never actually. I really would like to see him be very successful. First off, if you have enough talent, it overcomes a lot of things. When we came to Philadelphia, we were really in bad shape with draft choices and everything else. So you have to take a different approach. But hopefully it'll be successful. It won't take long to find out.
There's a question right here in the front row. You, sir.
Yeah, Coach kind of handled it, but my question was more to Ray. Tommy talked about his dad and his impact. I've heard you talk about your dad and his impact on you. I'd like to hear that too.
Yeah, my father was a huge influence. I mean, Dick and I have talked a lot about what his dad meant. The garage mechanic, the Al Garage, they called the Al Garage because his father literally worked all night. My dad's kind of the same way, and was a tremendous example to me. It's mentioned in the play. flew B-24 bombers, 530 missions, was in the 8th Air Force, same time as Chuck Bednarik was, and was always my hero, and always my biggest supporter. When I was in college and thinking that I'd like to be a sports writer, but what are the chances? You know, those jobs are few and far between. And I was weighing about, should I do it or should I try something else, something safer? And my father said, I'll never forget him saying this. He said, listen, you can make a living in this world doing anything. But the people who are happy in this world are the people that are doing something they love. And you know what you want to do, so go do it. And so that's what I try to do. And I've been fortunate that for 50 plus years, I was able to do exactly what it is that I wanted to do. And my parents were instrumental in that, as I know Dick's father was instrumental in his great career.
I mean, Ray, I was hoping you could tell us a little sense of what Hershey was like back then. Where were the dormitories? Where were the locker rooms? Where were the fields as compared to where we're sitting?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Ross Tucker, the pride of Wyomissing High School, was here last night on the stage. He asked me that question because he didn't know. He's been through a lot of football training camps. He said, how did it work at Hershey? You know, I know Hershey, but how did this work as a football facility? This building that we're in right now was the Eagles headquarters for July and August of those years. The rooms upstairs served as the players' dormitories. The dining hall was here. The meeting rooms were here. This building was really their base of operations. And they would dress at the old hockey arena. So the players would walk from here to the hockey arena, get dressed, and then walk from the hockey arena to, you all know where the football stadium is, but they didn't practice in the stadium, they practiced on a big open field next to the stadium. So that was one of the joys of being up here. I mean, the line about my football cards came to life, they really did. I mean, because the players were just, you know, walking from point A to B to C, and the players were on the street all around you the whole summer. So if you were a 10-year-old football fan, then there was no better place to be. And that was how it worked, and it was great. I got to tell you, they would play an exhibition game every year at that stadium. It was the Eagles and the then Baltimore Colts and play an exhibition game. And you look at those two teams, and Brockman, Jurgensen, Bednarik, McDonald, Unitas, Marchetti, Lenny Moore. There were 14 Hall of Famers. 14 Hall of Famers playing in that little stadium, and you can go and watch them play for $2. $2 general admission, and you can go to watch 14 Hall of Famers play preseason games. But for all of you that are too young to remember, pro football was really a very big part of life in central Pennsylvania, because you had pro football here for 2 solid months. That really kind of was the game of your backyard. And that's one of the reasons why bringing this play back here to Hershey has been something that's been something we've all talked about and really wanted to do. And thank you all for coming out tonight to support it.
We have a question right here.
Ray, now that you're retired, do you have any plans on, with all the experiences that you've had, writing another play?
The question is, does Ray have another play in him?
No.
You know, there's a saying, quit while you're ahead.
Question over here.
More to the fans, the Philadelphia fans. Me, my sister and best friend were in the Eagles marching band, and we had hunks of salami and cheese and toilet paper thrown at us. and they're the best memories that we look back on. Also, my father co-captained with Chuck at Penn. So, yeah.
It's great.
Over here.
Hey, Ray, 2 quick questions for you. Comments about getting Tommy into the Hall. We have we're both St. James alums, and there's perhaps one of the best players who's not in yet is Joe Klecko.
Right.
Asking your perspective perspective on that. And second, for all of us Eagles fans, Eagles game day is not going to be the same without Ray Didinger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quick question: are you going to have that lined notepad on your laps?
Yeah, count on it. At this point, it's true. At this point, I cannot watch a game without it. I can't. To really watch a game, I have to log in. I've just been doing it for 50 years. I don't know how to watch a game without doing that. So yes, September the 11th, when the Eagles play the Detroit Lions, I will be sitting there with a bulldog on this side of me, my yellow legal tablet in my lap, and I will be logging the game as I always did. The Joe Klecko point, I've been a big advocate of Joe's, and not just because we went to the same high school and we both went to the same college. Joe's a great player. I mean, a genuinely, truly great player. It was very frustrating for me to see him never quite get to the finals, much less in the Hall. But now he's there. And I have to give some credit to, they had the meeting this week to pick on who were going to be the 3 senior nominees. And Dick here was one of the guys they consulted to get his opinion on the worth of the various candidates. And I know that Dick was a big advocate for Joe Klecko, and I think that had no small part in Joe actually appearing on the ballot. So now that he's there, I'm very confident that he will soon be joining Coach Vermeil and Candy.
In the hat right here.
Yes, for Ray, switch gears a little bit. Just show I was about the Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame. What's your opinion on Dick Allen not making the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Gentleman asked about, we're sort of changing sports, but basically the same theme. What's my feeling about Dick Allen not being in the Baseball Hall of Fame? Injustice.
Yeah.
I mean, Dick Allen absolutely should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Should have happened long ago. I mean, all of us, a lot of us up here grew up in Philly. I mean, Joe did. We went to Connie Mack Stadium, saw Dick Allen play. If you ever saw him play, I mean, you know greatness when you see it. It's not that hard, really. You see a special player, it's not that hard to sell, and he was. And if you look at his numbers match up with anybody from his era. Unfortunately, he's been, I think, unfairly labeled as a guy who's a troublemaker, and he alienated some sports writers along the way, and sports writers are the guys that vote in these things. So that's had something to do with it. He's come up 1 vote short twice. I have to believe that's going to change. I have to believe if you get that close, you're going to get in. The shame of it is that when he does get in now, he won't be here to appreciate it. But Dick Allen, Hall of Famer, I 100% agree with you.
Right here.
To the youngest member of the panel, how has this influenced you? Tell us about your experience.
Well, for one, I got to learn a little more about football than I already knew. Well, it's been great getting to work with everyone, and it's been such it's been a new experience for me with the whole learning doing a play. I've never done a play before. I've only been doing musicals, so this was a whole different work environment and kind of getting to the point of the play. And it was interesting to see the difference between the 2 rehearsal processes. So yeah.
This was his second show. We rehearsed with us for 5 days. So wow. That's all you need to know about how good this kid is.
Well done.
He's 13.
Wow.
Thank you. Right here.
This is for Ray and for Coach. Do you see any players in the current NFL that remind you of Tommy McDonald or the things that he kind of embodied? Playing now,
right now.
or within the last 10 years.
Last year watching the Rams, watching Cooper Kupp, I got flashbacks to Tommy. He about the same size, same kind of game-breaking ability. And the other ability that Tommy had, which I thought really set him apart, was, boy, in the fourth quarter of a close game, he made the big play.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and the biggest moments was when he played his best. And I think Cooper Kupp showed the same kind of qualities with the Rams. He's
good.
You know, he's got a ways to go before he can. You're talking about him in Canton.
Right.
But today's closest comparison would probably be Cooper Kupp.
I think today Tommy would play in the slot.
Right.
You know, it's a lot of the teams, New England, other teams, the Rams, and everybody, that have the little guys playing inside, making all moves, catching all the balls.
Right.
He would play inside like that and be every bit as outstanding inside. And maybe even better, because first when you play inside, you're not as far away from the ball. You're not as far away from the quarterback. He'll throw a higher percentage pass completion because he doesn't have to throw it so far and he can throw it quicker. So I think Tommy, there are a number of guys, I can't give you all the names, but I've watched play, but Tommy would be them probably a little bit better.
Right, right. Thank you.
Right over here.
Yeah, Coach, I'd like to obviously congratulate you on getting into the Hall of Fame. This tradition that we've had since you've been here, and thank you for creating that addiction and, you know, all the money that I spent on the Eagles. But to Ray, I want to ask you a question because we're season ticket holders for like 20 years. I'm in the parking lot doing our little game day thing. My wife runs up to me and she goes, guess what? Guess what? Guess what I got? And I'm like, I got a picture with, and I'm like, who? Is it a player? Is it someone famous? She's Ray. She shows me the picture and you know, that was the kind of response. And I want to say that we've been listening to you every weekend for I don't know how long, whether we're on vacation across the world, wherever. The announcement a couple months ago, literally we both sat down and checked to so my question to you on the weekend is, what in you inspires that kind of passion in people who are here and feel what you feel about it, and not a football team or a hockey team?
I have a little trouble hearing all of that.
What was there?
He basically asked what in you enables these people to have such great passion for you and are very excited about all you've done. What is it that you've done? Not an easy question to answer, by the way. But what do you see? You want to answer that, Coach?
Integrity.
Yeah. There you go.
Over 40 years, people listen to you and don't doubt you. They start trusting you. And when trust takes place, you know, it's an emotional thing, not a physical thing. They start better listening, they understand, and they want to hear what you have to say. You know, they not only listen to you, they hear you. And I think when Ray has developed that deep level of trust from the people in the game, and the players in the game, and the fans in the game, you know, you can't wait to, like now, I'm disappointed I'm not going to be able to listen to it, you know, and I listen to him. The WIP, I listen to him. He comes on, I stop and listen to him. I steal some of the stuff. It's, you know, believable because there's integrity.
Yes, can you speak up to, it's hard to hear up here.
Ray, what's your prediction for the Birds this year?
Oh, boy.
The pause. The pregnant pause.
No, I think they're going to be very good.
Yeah.
I do. I think that they're obviously the roster is much better than it was when last year ended. They had a very good draft. A couple of free agent signings, Brown, Bradbury, good players, upgrades for sure. You know, the coach is in his second year, so I think he can learn a little bit more. Offensive line's very good. They drafted 2 years in a row. It's interesting. 2 years in a row, they drafted my favorite player out of college football. Never did that. Last year, my favorite player in college football was Devontae Smith. I loved watching him play at Alabama. I loved the old Eagles drafted him. And this past year, I loved watching the Georgia defense. They're the best college defense I ever saw. And I thought Jordan Davis was a real good player. I thought that Kobe Dean was a special player. And he was my favorite player in college football last year. Long Ball Davis now drafted my favorite player 2 years in a row. So obviously they're going to be better. But no, I think if you look at their schedule, I think their schedule's very favorable. A lot depends on the quarterback. Everybody's saying it's all about the quarterback. It's not all about the quarterback. I mean, he'll do his job, but everybody else has to do theirs. But if you're asking me for a prediction right now, they're going to win this division. I think
Everyone knows what you did with Kurt Warner. Where would Tommy McDonald fit in on The Greatest Show on Third?
He would probably be in Ricky Kroll's spot, or third receiver in the slot, that kind of stuff. And of course, you know, he's a Hall of Famer, and that's what he is, a legitimate, great football player. And he would make any offense and put him in better. But within that scheme, Isaac Bruce is already in the Hall of Fame. Torrey Holt's been a finalist twice. Okay, the left tackle's in the Hall of Fame, Marshall Fox in the Hall of Fame, the quarterback in the Hall of Fame, and they put the old coach in the Hall of Fame.
Right here, sir.
What's it like to play Ray? Well, I mean, it's a tremendous honor. I mean, it's not just being able to tell the truth of his story, which I think is a pretty unique story. He's just an incredible human being. He's one of the nicest people in my life. And so, you know, my friendship with him means a lot to me. And so being able to bring truth and integrity, the word Dick used, to who he is, and people that, you know, we've been doing the show for 6 years. And we've done, you know, roughly 75 performances. And every audience that comes, they have so much love for him. I feel a responsibility to that. I feel a responsibility to make sure that, that it feels like a unique experience to you. It feels like an authentic experience to you. You know, I always joke that I had seen Ray cry. I had seen Ray be emotional when we did this play, when we read this play before it was even existed as production. We did reading, and Tommy came. And their embrace at the end of that evening was quite moving. And, you know, for years of doing the show, I was like, you know, I cry in the show, and I bet people think I'm just an actor, and this is nonsense, until the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And everybody saw Ray cry on TV, and I was like, oh, thank God! He's not smart enough. That was a huge relief for me.
All right, let's take 2 more questions then.
Okay, right there.
One or two players that I have coached that aren't in the Hall of Fame that I think there are. There's a number of them. Yeah, really. You know, like I said at the end of my speech, there are a lot of coaches that deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Not everybody that deserves a position, whether it be quarterback or coach, gets in. You have to be very fortunate. You have to have very strong advocates. You have to have people that are believable when they're presented to the 48 voters. But yeah, Torrey Holt belongs in the Hall of Fame. And he's been in the final. He'll get in there. I think London Fletcher, my inside linebacker, he is the Kurt Warner on defense. Most people don't know much about him. College free agent, 5'8", 3/4, 235-pound free agent linebacker. Nobody wanted him. We signed him. His second year, he takes over, he starts. Never misses a game in 16 years. Plays for the Rams, and then he goes to Buffalo, then he finishes up with the Redskins. Great football player. But when you're not supposed to be, and when you don't meet the credentials of other people that are already in, like Tommy's too small, like London Fletcher, he's not a big like this. You know, he's a little guy. But what can he play? He can really play. And I think he belongs in, my left guard. And the kid said at Kansas City, Brian Waters, he probably will never get in, but he's a Hall of Fame. He was as good as the other Hall of Famers. In fact, I know he's better than a couple of Hall of Famers in there because I coached them. He probably won't get in. Not everybody who deserves it will get in. Okay? And sometimes they miss. Sometimes they miss. But I think first Troy Hope. And as a coach, I think it'll be Mike Hogan next, and then I hope real soon Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin, great football coach, great football coach.
Okay, in the very last row, I want you to shout your question back there.
Ray, thank you for everything. You're truly the dean of Philadelphia sports, and I bow in your presence, sir.
Donate, do I understand you're talking about me donating my stuff to some sort of archives? Never really thought about that. Yeah, listen, my wife, she's down with that. She'll drive it there. Yeah, that Barrett Brooks scouting report from his sophomore year at Kansas State. I never really thought about that. I mean, if anybody wants that stuff, they're welcome to it. I just don't know that it's it's just these are not the Thomas Jefferson papers. But I appreciate the thought, and trust me, my wife is 100% with me.
Well, I want to thank Dennis Owens for being here. I want to thank Coach Vermeil for spending I want to thank all of you for coming out. This is a very special run of the show. We're only doing 3 nights, and for us to come back here to Hershey, I know how much it means to Ray and even to the rest of the cast for us to come back where the story began. So thank you for being a part of this show in so many ways. We got one more day tomorrow, so if you know people who want to see the show.
2 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah, it's the matinee tomorrow. And if anybody bought any books and wants to get some signed by Ray, you can go up this aisle here. Ray will be in the back in the lobby at the table, house left there. Just go up that aisle and bring your book, and Ray will sign it. And thanks again for coming out. And hope to see you tomorrow.